Welcome to the Good Enough Lap Guide in the Porsche Cayman GT4 at Mexico City, your lap guide to move up through the splits. The purpose of this lap guide is to give you guys a blueprint that you can build a solid, consistent lap on top of. If you combine that with the goal to finish the race, race your race, and stay out of trouble, you will move up through the splits. So first we'll talk about the track characteristics of Mexico City. I'm really liking this track because I think there's a lot you can learn as a driver driving around this track. It has the very tight, twisty sections that can teach you how to drive a car with patience and the slow stuff. Then you get to the chicanes, so you can learn to navigate chicanes in the most efficient manner possible. And then we also have some big, fast sweepers, which gives you that car control when you're on the edge, when you're in those high-speed corners. So you really can learn a lot from this track. So there are also a couple solid passing opportunities. Coming out of 2-3, going into 4, there's a long straightaway there. So if people mess up the 2-3 combo and you get a better run out, it's a pretty easy opportunity to pass somebody. Coming out of 6, you can get a better run on somebody and compromise them for the corner for 7, or you can get on the inside and overtake them. Then coming out of 10-11, if you hit that better than somebody else does, which is likely if you watch this track guide and hit your marks, you should do better than people in the lower splits coming out of there, and you get a good passing opportunity going into 12. Then finally, there's coming out of 15, 16, and 17. Another area it's tricky. It might be a little bit more of a neutralizer, and what I mean by that is it might not be quite so easy to get a pass on people going into 1 because it's not quite as hard, but people can really overdrive going into 16, so you can undercut them going into 17 if they do that, and then you have that long straightaway to get the overtake with the draft if you have any kind of run on them. Next, we'll talk about the car characteristics of the Porsche Cayman GT4. On entry, it can pick up understeer if you drive into the corner too hard. Through the middle, it's a pretty neutral car as long as you get your entry right. If you do overdrive entry, you still will have a little bit of understeer. And then on exit, I would say it's also pretty neutral. And I would say you could be pretty aggressive with getting on the throttle on exit as well. And the car just feels very well planted. The weather for this lap was 82 degrees Fahrenheit or 27.7 degrees Celsius. The track temp was 101 degrees Fahrenheit or 38.3 degrees Celsius. The lap time was a 1:49.666. Sector 1 was a 40.04. Sector 2 was a 43.550. And Sector 3 was a 26.077. Alright, let's get into the lap. For turn 1, our braking zone is going to be where the green concrete starts on the left. And then you don't want to brake on the red and white curb, it'll unsettle the car. As we're headed into the corner, you actually can cut over this inside curb. I don't quite do it this lap, but feel free to experiment with that, and it'll be a middle apex. For turn 2, your braking point is going to be where that path touches the track on the right. And then for the corner, we're going to cut pretty aggressively so we can get the best line through 3. Just don't cut much more than I did, or you will get a slowdown. Same thing with turn 3, we're going to cut pretty aggressively to get the best line through the corner. Then on exit, we're going to let the car run out wide. Just keep your right side tires on the red and white curb. If you guys are enjoying this video, please hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate it. For turn 4, your braking point is going to be where the curb starts on the right. And then your turn-in point is going to be just before the red-white curb appears again underneath that rubber. It'll be a middle apex for the corner, and you can cut the corner, just don't cut it too much or they'll give you a 1x. For turn 5, it's going to be a middle apex, and again, you can cut the corner. I also recommend you get the rotation done first before you get on the throttle. If you get on the throttle too soon here, your car will push out wide. For turn 6, there's no obvious braking point, but this is where I brake. I also do find it's helpful to stay on the brakes when you cross back over the curb. It just keeps the car more firmly planted. I find if I go over the red and white curb when I'm letting off the brakes, it tends to unsettle the car. And turn 6 is a double apexing corner. I'm not really trying to hit this first apex because I'm more concerned with getting a better line on the second part of the apex, but it will be a middle apex, and you'll see we'll be about a foot or 2 off the apex. And then similar to turn 5, you want to make sure you get the rotation done first and then get on the throttle, or I do find you can push out wide. It'll be a middle apex. For turn 7, your braking point is going to be right around the 3rd to 4th autodromo banner on your right. Then you're going to be aiming for a middle late apex so you can get the best line through 8. It's really important you don't overdrive this corner. You're better off underdriving it, because if you overdrive it, you're going to mess up your run through 8, 9, 10, and 11. For turn 9, it's going to be a middle apex, and you're going to want to cut over the curb into the green area. This will set us up nicely for turn 9. We're going to cut over the curb, making sure we keep some part of our right side tires on the red and white curb, and we're going to want to just clip the grass at the end of the asphalt here on the left. For turn 10, our braking point is going to be where the green part of the curb starts on the left. We do not want to get all the way to that green curb. It will unsettle the car. We're then going to shoot for a middle apex. You can use where the green part of the asphalt ends and the grass starts as a reference of where your apex should be. And you can also cut a little bit more than I do. Please test it out. See what works best for you. Then for turn 11, we're going to cut this curb as much as we can. Just make sure some part of your right side tires are on that red and white curb. If you guys are enjoying this lap guide, please subscribe. I'm putting lap guides out every week. For turn 12, your braking point is going to be where the Mexico City banners are starting on the right. And then as we're headed into the corner, it's going to be a middle late apex. You can actually cut a little bit more than I do. Please experiment with your line. For turn 13, we're going to brake at just about the third to last Mexico City banner. And then as we're headed through the corner, it's going to be a middle late apex. I actually took a little bit too much curb here, so maybe don't take quite as much curb as I did. For turn 14, it's going to be a middle apex. You can just barely touch the curb. If you do get on top of the curb, you might need to lift the throttle a little bit. In this lap, because I was so far inside on turn 13, it actually worked out for me and I didn't even have to touch the curb. So experiment with how you go through this section, see what works best for you. For turn 16, we're going to start braking about 15 feet past the blue paint. And then for turn 16, it's going to be a middle apex. This is another one of those corners you're better off underdriving as opposed to overdriving. Here I actually underdrove the corner and caught a little bit of that inside curb, which ideally you don't want to do, but I still would have been better off doing that than running out wide, because if you run out wide, somebody else is going to undercut you and get the position. And that's your good enough lap guide in the Porsche Cayman GT4 at Mexico City. If you guys found this video useful, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe to catch the next video. I'll see you guys in the next one.